Alright, so I'm just going to throw this out there. Today's video could be a big game changer for a lot of you when it comes to your kumite or sparring. So even if you're a long-time competitor or like a veteran as far as sparring is concerned, today's video might have some tips that can really help you up your game. And this is even great for beginners, so if you're just starting out, make sure you guys are watching the whole thing because you don't want to miss some of these awesome tips. And the whole idea is that we're going to be working on making our attacks a little bit more deceptive, a little bit more sneaky, and harder to see. And we're just doing that by following the idea of 3 T's. Alright, so like I mentioned, we're talking about the 3 T's that are going to help us with making our techniques harder to see, a little bit more deceptive, and in general, just a lot smoother. So the first T that we're talking about is something that's super common, especially as we're just starting out and we're super excited or super nervous, and that's tension. So a lot of us hold tension all the time in sparring, but especially just before you fire your technique, you're going to start to really get tense because we're a little bit anxious about what the outcome of that exchange is going to be. So the easiest thing to do is just relax, try to shake your arms out, literally get all of the tension out of them before you put your hands into your guard. Alright, so one of the things that we'll teach to our students is actually to break away. If you're feeling yourself tense during a match, actually step away so that you're at a comfortable, safe distance, and literally just shake your arms and legs out and then get back into your stance and re-engage. This will help you mentally and physically relax and allow you to have a little bit more control over your techniques. Alright, so the second T, this one is timing, and this is something that a lot of people struggle with because it's really easy to get into a rhythm. And what I mean by that is if I'm bouncing, whether you bounce up and down, forward and back, just more like a walking sort of a stance, whatever you're most comfortable with, check it out. You might have a rhythm where you might be going back and forth, and it's really easy to see any change in this now, where if I try to attack, I need to either set a little bit harder, I might need to take an extra step, but you're gonna see that because it's very obvious, because you've just been watching the same rhythm the whole time. So what we're gonna do is add in what we call broken rhythm. We're not gonna go into a lot of detail right now because it's a pretty short video, but if you want a full video on broken rhythm, toss a comment down below and we'll start working on a video for that as well. So as we're bouncing, I might add in an extra bounce, shift away, push my hands in, lean my shoulder back or forward, something to break the rhythm so that when you go to attack, they're not seeing a pattern. All right, that's something that they're gonna be able to really rely on for their counter punches. So if you break that rhythm, you break their plan and their strategy for that counter.
This is my favorite part coming up right now.
Alright, the third and final one is something that I'm really passionate about. Now you'll hear it talked about all the time, but the way that we go about training it is not always very effective. So the third one is telegraphing. Alright, now what this means is basically I'm sending you a signal before I throw my technique that's telling you what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. Alright, so to make a big example, if I'm set up this way and I want to throw a reverse punch, a telegraph might be I pull my hand back and I punch forward, or I lean my body and I punch forward. You see it a lot with jabs where the hand will come back and then push out. Alright, so there are 2 things that we can do with telegraphs. Alright, now the first one is what 90% of people out there work on, and that's eliminating it. So this is obviously the best bet, but it is very difficult, especially if you've been training for a while and you have a habit. So if you've been doing this for 5, 6, 7 years of training or more in some of our cases, it is going to be extremely difficult to break that habit because you're just so used to it. So another option while you're trying to eliminate it is to just incorporate it more often.
Say what?
I know this sounds a little bit crazy, but the idea is if my hand comes back for my jab, I'm going to add this into my movement. So I'm going to let this hand bounce back every once in a while. Of course, yes, your face does become open when this hand comes back, so be aware of that, make sure you're ready to block, but do it just quick so that they have a hard time countering over the top of this, but they're gonna get used to this drawing motion. So if I'm moving and I pull this hand back, I'm kind of pushing it around, pulling it back, then when I go for my actual technique, you don't see that drawback because I've kind of desensitized you to the idea. So if I'm gonna throw this reverse punch and you see this big draw hand, if first I'm adding in that same motion, then when I throw my technique, it's gonna be blended and you're less likely to see it. So this one is really awesome. Play around with it, but of course, be safe with these so you're not just adding in a big motion that you don't need to that might get you into trouble. So try them out. Let me know if there's something that you do or something you have a question on, something you'd like to see a video on. I love making videos that are specifically for what you need. So try it out, let us know. But other than that, have a great day. Have an awesome time training it. We'll see you all in the next video. All right, peace.